What I'm about to say is this is just my opinion and from years of experience dealing with stuff and why you should listen to me. I've been plumbing for 10 years. I'm 28 now. I started when I was 18, and over those 10 years I have done ground ups from residential to commercial. So from the aspect of plumbing, I've been plumbing and I've seen it all. And when people ask me, "What do you recommend?" and for if this was your homes, what would you recommend? And this is from what I see. So when it comes to PEX, I don't know if you can see right there. Most when it fails, it's usually on the hot side. And as you can see on the pressure, I showed you guys the pressure regulator. It's at 80 psi. And I know a lot of people come tell me on the comments like high water pressure doesn't affect your house. But if you look at, you'll see the lettering. When the heat rises, your pressure rating on your PEX gets weaker. So you'll see the lettering. It says it's tested at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. The hot is only rated at 80 psi, and as you can see at the pressure regulator, it was at 80 psi. And another crazy thing is, this homeowner has had this problem happen to him multiple times, and only on the hot side. As you can see right there, 80 psi at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 psi at 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So the hotter it gets, the weaker the PEX expansion is rated for. And this is like what I noticed building from the ground up, that the hot side, you always get these little leaks coming across a bunch of them. And that's why I tell customers, hey, I recommend running your PEX at 40, 50 degrees and lowering your temperature on your water heater, because that's what the manufacturer rates this at. And a lot of people go up and down. And when it comes to material to use, what is the best material to use in Southern California? And when I mean Southern California, because in different areas in the country, you have different elements, surroundings, and different type of water. So in Southern California, I recommend type L. This is the thing we took off. You see 160 psi and 73 degrees, 100 psi, 80 psi at 200 Fahrenheit. So as your temperature increases, your pressure rating drops, and that's why I don't recommend doing 80 psi and change your pressure regulator. Like I said, when we see failure, it's mostly on the hot side, and it's just a little drip, which is right here. That's where it was leaking. It wasn't a burst. I suggest, just because your car goes 100 miles an hour doesn't mean you should, you know. And that people don't listen, and I think that's just from years of experience. You could go online and listen to the engineers, or you could listen to someone that has been doing this. And this is just my recommendation and my opinion. Like I mentioned, this is only my opinion and from my observation doing this 10 years, doing from the ground ups, doing repairs, doing all this type of, and they always ask me, what is the best material? The best material for Southern California is type L. And there's a lot of factors that play into it, which is the type of water you have. In some areas, depending on where you get your water, some of the water is harder on the type of materials, like the chlorine. Also, there's so many factors that play into it. That's why this is just my opinion. There's hundreds of things, and like I mentioned, in other states, PEX is actually better than copper when it freezes. Because I've seen videos where the copper bursts and cracks before the PEX, because the PEX has better expansion. So like I said, from my experience, this is Southern California. When I say Southern California, I'm talking about like regular San Diego, LA weather, not Big Bear / Death Valley, because that kind of, Death Valley is one of the hottest places on earth, and we got Big Bear where it freezes. So when I'm saying Southern California, I'm talking about LA, San Diego area. The best material is type L copper. This is type M copper, which is red, and the only difference is a thinner wall. And what if people say? And then another thing is like, why would people not install type L copper instead of PEX? You know, why would, if everyone knows L is the better product, why do people install PEX? It all comes down to your budget. This runs around 40 cents a foot. This Type L half-inch runs around $275 a foot. And since this is flexible, it's easier to install. And all I can do it is inform my customers. Every time I hit a repipe, I'm trying to sell this product more because it makes me sleep at night, good at night, because I know from my experience, just like right here, Type L copper is way better. I seen Type M, which is this one, fail exactly the same type as PEX. So I seen houses that are brand new builds that I go and do repairs, and this has already failed. And it also could be due to poor installation, people not reaming their pipe. There's other variables, so many variables, but from what I seen, Type L is your best choice, but also you're gonna pay a premium, which is why a lot of people go towards PEX. Like I said, there's always a better product. Is there a better product than Type L? Yeah, there's called Type K. And Type K is way thicker than this. I mean, we could build your house with made out of diamond pipes if you have the right budget. So that's why a lot of people go and install this PEX, because it's California. We're all broke. Everything, gas is $5. When you give a quote, for examples, for shits and giggles, if I give a repipe for $10,000 and plumber B tells you, well, let's install copper, and we give a bid for $25 for the exact same square footage, what do you think the customer is going to go? But when you educate your customers and you have the proof and tell them, hey, I seen this fail within this time frame, and also because they don't listen to the pressure ratings, and a lot of people like said, no, it's fine, you could run it at 80 psi, you can max out the pressure regulator. And it's funny that only the hot side is leaking like that, and it's not a sudden burst. It's just you're maxing out. Just because your truck says you could go 100 miles an hour doesn't mean you should go 100 miles an hour. And it says right here, it clearly says 200-degree Fahrenheit at 80 psi. And if you're running that to full capacity, you're going to have failures like that. And that's why I told this customer, I'm like, look, your number one option is repipe your whole house, which he doesn't want to do because it's a pretty brand new house. Or number two, we drop the PSI to 40-50, which is going to suck because you're not going to have that high pressure, but you're going to be under the max pressure rating for that type of pipe. And that's why we changed the pressure regulator, because we couldn't adjust it down. So we put a new pressure regulator and dropped the PSI to 40-50 psi. And I know the comments are going to be like, that's not true. But like I said, from experience, I see where it leaks. It's usually the hot side, and it's just a drip. And usually their pressure regulator fails. Or they're running their pressure regulator at the max capacity, which is 80 psi. And they just want the max, which I tell people, like, drop it down. And no one wants to do that because no one likes low water pressure. But if you have... When people say, what is the best product? It's Type L, which is also wrong because Type K would be the best. But Type K is like probably $4 a foot compared to Type L. So there's always a better product. And from my experience building from the ground up, doing repairs, Type L, you get around 30 to 60 years, depending on, like I said, the maintenance you do, changing your pressure regulator. Because even high pressure will mess up copper. And everyone, like I said, everyone in the comments is like, that's lies. High water pressure doesn't mess it up. But I could clearly see the evidence of where it always fails, and because they're running it at max capacity. So the answer is Type L for Southern California is the best material.